Welcome back and on to our first guest this morning. We want to discuss the role of the community in mental health. Okay, and we have a psychologist and executive director, Safe Space Counseling Center, in the person of Nien Adomi. Oh, I was conscious.
You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I
Good
see
morning.
this name. A very good
you.
morning to you.
Good morning to you
Thank
too.
you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you for having me.
Wow. So we are talking about mental health, the role of the community in mental health. So let's look at how important the community support to mental health is.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm super
welcome.
excited to be here. From September, about 10th of September, up until now, we've been raising awareness on mental health. So it's been a season of mental health. So we've been having conversations on mental health. I mean, we've had World Suicide Prevention Day. We've also had World Mental Health Day. So it's been mental health, and it is very important and crucial that we talk about the role of the community because it's easy to just say individuals are expected to protect their mental health. But if they live in an environment, in a community that is toxic, regardless of how much they try to protect their mental health will keep being trampled. Let's give a typical example. Now, when we talk about community, we're not saying a village because that's the first thing that comes to people's mind when you hear community. Yeah. No, community is anywhere you find yourself that there are people. So in the workspace, that is a community. In a family, that is a community. Your general village community. In your religious organizations, that is a community. So everywhere you find yourself, we must ensure that we are raising this awareness so that people in that community their mental health are being protected. So as a psychologist, one of the things we see in our practice is that you have sessions with the client. The client feels really empowered, feels really encouraged. Let's say a client who is dealing with depression, for instance, and then they go back home to a toxic environment. Wow. Either the parents are fighting or they are using certain comments on them that is affecting their mental health. So you make progress with the client, then when they go back home, they go 2 steps backward. Wow. So it is important for communities to ensure that they are actively participating in mental health, not just for themselves as individuals, but for the importance for the people around them rather. So the importance of community in mental health is that when everyone comes together to address a particular issue, we make more progress than when one individual is addressing this issue. So the more we know about mental health, the more communities, whether work, office, whatever, the more we talk about mental health, the more we become empowered to tackle these issues.
Let's be specific. In what ways do you think communities, like you said, family, workplace, colleagues, in what way do you think they can contribute?
Okay, so the first thing that will come to my mind is creating a safe space for individuals to express their emotions. There are organizations, communities that you can't say you are sad. You can't even express yourself because the minute you try to say, oh, this thing you did, they're already shouting, how dare you? Let's use a family setting for example. There are parents who never apologize to their children. No matter what they do wrong, they can never say, I'm sorry that I did this. That little word, I'm sorry, has the way of empowering a child, making them feel validated, making them feel that they are not alone or they are not always the one wrong. So as little as apologizing for where you're wrong and helping a person who is dealing with a mental health challenge, that is one of the ways. Another way is ensuring that we have conversations around mental health. We need to find a way to incorporate mental health to our conversations, whether at workspace, maybe in a work setting. I can imagine that maybe when you have Monday trainings, you bring up a specialist to come and talk about mental health. That way the conversations are coming up because the more you talk about these things, the more knowledge people get, the more empowered they are. Another aspect is that ensuring that in the environment, you allow people who are dealing with mental health, you give them that I don't know, for lack of better word, you give them that space. For instance, if I'm dealing with a mental health issue, let's say I'm having mood disorder. So 1 minute I'm happy, the next minute I'm sad. And as a colleague or a family member that this is what I'm dealing with. When I'm in my sad state, for example, I don't need you reminding me that, oh, you just switched. You were just happy a minute ago. Why are you now? You know that I'm dealing with a mental health issue. What I expect you to do is, if it's a time where I need space give me
Give
that
the person
space.
the space.
If it's a time where I need words of encouragement, give me words of encouragement. But you must be a part of my life enough to know what I need at that time.
Wow.
So don't just ignore a person who is dealing with a mental health issue. Give them the opportunity to express themselves, apologize when you're wrong, create a safe space where people can confide in you. There are people you cannot talk to in your environment. When you're dealing with something, you tell them. The next minute you're hearing it from another person and another person, then that becomes a problem for me. It means that I cannot trust you. So we should be able to build trust in whatever community we find ourselves, so that, most importantly, be a safe space yourself. As an individual, I am part of a community. Am I a safe space? Can people come to me when they're having this issue? Or I'm just a toxic person?
Wow.
That everybody who comes to me leaves me angry and offended and sad, even worse than they came to me. So you must be deliberate and conscious as an individual. So not just as a community. When we're addressing community, we are addressing the individuals in the community. Because community is not, it's just a word. There are people that make up a community. So you must ensure that as an individual in this community, I know that I am responsible for the mental health of the people around me. What I do, my actions or inactions, what I say can affect the next person's mental health. And another way is apologizing for how you make people feel. So people say that I'm not wrong, so I cannot apologize. Don't apologize for what you did wrong. Apologize for how you made the person feel.
Whoa,
yes,
that's a good one.
Yes, so if I may have stepped on your toes mistakenly and maybe you got offended, and I'm so sure that it was a mistake. I didn't do it intentionally. So I'm apologizing. So I teach people, I say, apologize, say, I'm sorry that I made you feel bad for stepping on your toe. You may be so sure that stepping on the person's toe was not wrong, or maybe you didn't do it intentionally. So you're apologizing for how you made the person feel, but not necessarily what you did.
Okay, let's briefly look at how to break the stigma. How can communities help to break the stigma surrounding mental health?
So the first way of breaking the stigma is what we are doing here, having conversations around it. So awareness and sensitization has a way of breaking stigma. Again, the more people know about a particular topic, the more empowered they are. So conversations upon conversations, and then allowing people, or not joking about it. In Nigeria, in the day that we find ourselves, people are dealing with a lot of mental health issues. I tell people that the easiest way to get depressed when you're going to work is enter a public transport in this country. You will hear people say all manner of things against the government, against their environment, against their family members. People are dealing with so much. So when they have that, they just start expressing themselves and talking about things. So you see that way, people who came into the taxi or came into that public space sane probably will leave. I don't want to say insane, but not insane, but probably will leave there not as happy as they were. So, but the more we begin to sensitize people and create this awareness to make people understand that there's something called mental health. There's something called mental health, and then people are allowed to express their emotions regardless of how you feel. So, with conversations, with sensitization programs, awareness programs, and normalizing therapy.
Okay.
In our part of the world, people don't go to therapy. People have doctors when they are sick. People have pastors and imams when they have spiritual problems. People have lawyers when they have legal problems. What are that? People have accountant or financial experts when they have financial issues. But they don't have psychologists when they have mental problems. The same way you have these particular individuals in your life, you should normalize having a psychologist in your corner that is your doctor that you relate with and you deal with.
Okay. As a psychologist, can you tell us any success community initiatives that you feel has really helped, to tackle mental health issues?
Okay, so I'm going to be selfish because I know it has worked. So we are currently doing an initiative. So the Safe Space Counseling Center every year uses at least 3 months to raise awareness on mental health. During that period, we're going to communities, we're going to organizations, we're going to schools, we raise awareness. What we do in those communities that is successful, because it's not just about going to these places and talking about mental health without having any impact. What we do is that wherever we go to, we find a psychologist within that environment.
Okay.
We take that person to the community and then introduce the person to that community. Say, okay, this is a therapist, this is a psychologist that you can see when you're having your mental health. So what we basically do is like we build a counseling booth in communities, sometimes not physical. May not be a physical structure. It may be that maybe the palace, if it's a school, the counselor, we empower them, we train them so that people can access those services. So by making communities and environments, or by establishing and putting a psychologist in those communities, it's easier for people to normalize walking up to the person to say, I'm sad, I'm
Okay.
depressed, I'm dealing with this. So this initiative from Safe Space has been very impactful because we bring the psychologist to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1 minute, what advice do you have generally to everyone? And maybe especially to those who are battling with mental health issues. In 1 minute, what would you say as a roundup?
Okay, so my advice to you as a Nigerian, as an African, wherever you are in the world, is that mental health issues are real. Just like you go for your physical check, you do checks, do a mental health check, do a personality check, understand who you are as an individual, and also normalize having access to psychologists. I know that the services sometimes are not really affordable, but there are organizations that provide these services free of charge. So ensure that you are responsible for the mental health of the people around you. We came here today to talk about community. You are the community we are talking about. People are watching you, whether you like it or not. Again, apologize to people for how you made them feel, for not what you necessarily did. And if you see people that are going through things, instead of judging them or joking about mental health, because again in Nigeria we joke a lot about mental health. My mental health is affected, and you're saying it for a joke. You don't necessarily mean it. Don't joke about it. Mental health is serious. Every day people are committing suicide all around the world. Numbers are increasing. So ensure that you're responsible for your mental health and the mental health of everybody around you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I like when you say that, you say ensure that you take responsibility of someone else's mental health issues. That means it should be your brother, your sister's keeper. Thank you so much. We've been talking with Ian Adomi. He is a psychologist and executive director, Safe Space Counseling Center. And we've been talking about mental health, the role of community, your role, my role to make sure that the next person who is battling with mental health comes out of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Please
having
don't
me.
go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is still Good Morning Abuja on NTH Channel 5, the Unity Station. We have a special guest. I call her special. You know why? Because we're discussing something that has to do with us, the women. So she is a special guest. Please join me to welcome Bidemi Adedire, founder of the Smile Outreach, as we discuss gender disparities and cross-generational sexual relationships.
Hi.
Bidemi, thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
so
And a
much
very
for
good morning to you.
a good morning to you as well. And
Thank you for joining. I can see the combination of this is beautiful.
thank you.
This is, should I call it creativity?
There is a story behind
Oh,
this.
story
I
behind
think
it.
I'll tell you after now, but you need to hear
Oh,
it.
okay. I can't wait. All right, Bidemi. How we're talking about gender disparities and cross-generational sexual relationships.
Yeah.
So, how did you find yourself into this, becoming an advocate for this?
Hmm. I think growing up, I come from a family that is very supportive.
Okay.
And one of the things I noticed going to school was that a lot of girls did not have that kind of support.
Ooh.
It made me question a lot of things.
Hmm.
And then I think my mom made it clear that the world actually works a different way.
Okay. I
See,
like that. The world works
in a
in a
different
different
way
way. Oh,
at the
okay.
time.
Okay.
So she's like, we are training you this way. We are training the boys and the girls to know that these things you are doing is not just the job of a man alone or the job of a woman, but out there are things that have been relegated to women
Okay.
and men.
Wow.
So that was when I knew. I think that was when the seed was planted. It's not like I instantly knew that I was going to be the founder of an organization, but it sort of gave me that confidence to face the world in a new light and be
Okay.
fine with being different.
Whoa. Okay. Gender disparities. For you, being that I know you've been advocating. So how has it been? What would you say?
Well, for starters, I would say the term gender disparities is really wide,
Hmm.
and I'd simply narrow down to what I think suits my calling.
Okay.
I love children. I love to work
Oh,
with children. So even in church, I'm always with kids,
okay.
and I'm really big on adolescent health. So I narrowed down to grooming and cross-generational sexual relationships.
Okay. 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 So have you been, as all through what you do, Have you noticed any difference between the male, female, and whatever their activities are?
Let me give you an example of some of our outreaches.
Hmm.
One of the things we talk about at the Smile Outreach is gender balance. By that, I mean we are not just reaching out to girls alone. I know a lot of people are like, is it only girls you guys talk to? But at the Smile Outreach, we actually really want to reach both genders.
Okay.
But funny enough, we have met resistance in some cases where the schools, for example, would say, no, you have only talk to the girls. They don't talk to the boys about this matter. And so we still have to, we are reaching out to children, adolescents, but now we see ourselves having to also shift the mindset of the adult to say,
Okay.
it really works when we speak to both genders, because how will the men know that this is what the women need if we are taking them out of the room?
Wow. Let's look at the cultural perspective.
Okay.
Do you think that in terms of tradition,
Mhm.
upbringing,
Yeah,
do you think it has to do with it?
absolutely.
Hmm.
I completely agree. But here is the thing about culture. Culture happens when the masses come together and agree that this is the way, right?
Oh, okay.
This is our value.
Okay.
But I also feel like people are set in culture. They don't know that culture is not set in stone. It can be modified.
Can be altered.
It can be altered. It can be
Yeah.
revamped.
Mm.
Let me give you an example. Culture, I think, starts from the family. So when a family has sets of values,
Mm.
that child will grow up thinking that that is how the outside world is. Remember, I said that at the
Mm.
beginning, that
Okay.
I thought that was how the outside world was till I met with my friends and my colleagues in school. If families begin to shift their mindset
Okay.
to say, talk about the roles of men and women and start programming, like, permit me to use that word, the mind of their children to realize that these things are shared responsibilities, I think it would seep into societal values at the end of the day. That's just my perspective.
Okay. Okay. So how do you communicate with the, should I say, the older and the younger concerning this issue?
It is challenging, I'll be honest with you,
Okay.
but we also do it with care. We do it with understanding.
Okay.
Something that we do is we carry out needs assessment. We reach out to people and say, we want to have this discussion, but which one do you think we should talk about first? We have a participatory learning approach where we don't just tell people this is the way.
Okay.
We actually have conversations with them. We try to learn with them. That's the, I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay.
Part of the things we do is we also create resources. We call it creating homegrown resources that can speak to the mind of children and parents alike. So we create comics, we create animations that tell stories. Storytelling is powerful.
Okay.
You might not notice this, but the Tales by Moonlight thing is still like a very important approach and can still be used today to shift mindset.
Okay. Have you had any conflicts,
Yes.
between older generation, younger generation concerning these gender
Absolutely.
issues?
Um, Sometimes I think the sensitivity of this matter also makes things harder. A lot of parents find it difficult to talk about these things. When I was in Kenya, I spoke to a mother of four girls, and she said, how can I talk to my girls? I can't talk about these things to my girls. And I said, perfect. It's because of you we created animation and comics.
Okay.
Tell stories with your children. Allow them to tell you what's happening. Sometimes when you tell your children these stories, they end up saying, Mommy, I know something like this that happened, or my friend is also doing this. And it instantly informs you and gives you enough knowledge to maybe prevent or protect,
Okay.
which is what we want at the end of the day. So, yes, we faced challenges, but we are also trying to fight these challenges. I mean, that's why we're here.
Okay. So, what do you think? What do you think the role of technology and social media? What role do you think they play in this gender issue?
I'm going to ask for one permission to really sit with this question because social media is powerful. I think it's the most powerful tool we have in today's world. It's good and it's also bad considering what influencers and the power these influencers have over the minds of our children. But if we look at it again, If organizations like the Smile Outreach and as many that are out there really come together and utilize and leverage social media, we can change mindset. We can change the narrative that currently exists. But more importantly, I think it also helps the adults that we are trying to change. People are watching TVs, people are still listening to radio.
Yeah.
Have conversations, set up media appearances like this, and just have a chat like this. And maybe a parent is listening and could get in touch and say, okay, I think I'm interested, but let me know about it first. And I honestly don't judge parents that say, I want to know this thing before I tell my child. That is
Yeah,
how it
because
should
that's
be.
how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Exactly. But once a parent says that, we were happy because thank God. It's even better that the parent knows, and then we know that that parent instantly becomes an advocate, even if it's in a family. If we've changed one family, to be honest, we've changed the generation.
Okay. So how do you think traditional roles, how do you think they clash? Or how can we harmonize or clash? Like for example, before we start, I was saying it, they will say this is for men, this is what a woman is supposed to do.
Yeah.
A man is not supposed to be in the kitchen.
Yes.
The kitchen belongs to. So how do you think we can harmonize it?
Well, once again, social media is helping.
Okay. So
But
the men can go and learn how to cook on social media.
I mean, there are a lot. No, no, no. Well, YouTube helps.
Okay.
There are tutorials everywhere. You can watch a video now and start baking, and you find a business baking. That's the beauty of social media. I've taken courses on social media.
Yeah.
In fact,
I have too.
exactly. So it's there. But in terms of clashes, we have to agree that there are people that are hell bent on these traditions. Don't get me wrong, traditions are good, but we
Traditional
need
fanatics.
yes, we need to be able to identify what I call harmful traditional practices. Practices like female genital mutilation, for example. It's of no value. It's not helping. We are not throwing away our tradition of respect in Nigeria, for example.
Okay.
Clearly not. But we need to identify what we should modify,
Okay.
what we should keep. I personally am hell bent on amplifying African giving traditions, for example. These are traditions I want the world to know about. I want them to even implement some of these values like the Ubuntu and Arambi in their programmings. But FGM, telling a child or a girl child that she cannot be a lawyer, for example, or the child should wait while the boy goes to school. These things still happen. And in this time and age, it does still happen. So that is where the clash is coming in. And then let's talk about the fact that the Gen Zs, it's like a war now, the Gen Zs and the millennials. I think that clash is also happening because Gen Zs have been empowered by the knowledge they have. You go on Google now, you can search for anything, you find the information you want. And they can go back home and be very bold and say, Mommy, this is how it's supposed to be. And instantly the mother will say, I'm your mother.
Now. All right, let's look at some of the challenges, just briefly as we round up. The challenges, what are the challenges you face in carrying out this?
The obvious divide.
Oh.
If you notice, the first thing I said was we like to reach out to both men and women. We realized very quickly that men don't know what we think they know. And we are so hell bent on having women empowerment conversations, but we are keeping men out of the room.
Finally, in 1 minute,
Yes.
what advice? I don't know who you want to throw the advice to, but you know. So what advice do you have?
Thank you for pointing that. Okay, my advice to everyone would be volunteer, be part of the cause. I'm not saying come be part of Smile Outreach. If there's something in your community that needs to change, bring someone along. Tell them we need to carry out a workshop. Tell them we need to go to a school. Let's go talk to girls. Let's go talk to boys. Let's address the matter of gender disparity. Let's address the matter of gender equality. Let's talk about shared responsibilities in the home. You just have, and what we do, we are not crazy about metrics. I'm not here to say we've reached 1 million children. No. If you've reached one girl who is empowered to take charge of her life, you've done something amazing.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if you reach one girl,
yes,
you don't need to have so many of them, but at least one. And I believe that one, if you reach one, the one will pass to another one, and information will just go that way. Thank you so much for what you're doing in the Smile Outreach.
Yes.
And then I want to say to you that the sky will be your starting point. Very soon you'll
Amen.
be out everywhere. It will become a household name.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Thank you so much. So we've been speaking with Big Demi Adedire, founder of the Smile Outreach, and we'll be talking about gender disparities and cross-generational sexual relationships. You've heard all she said. Look, I tell you all, the men this time, oh, don't be angry. We need to share responsibilities. I think at times we need to swap responsibilities. All right, the program has been Good Morning Abuja. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. That was our musical for you. We hope you joined us to shake your body. Right now, we want to discuss how to stay updated, okay, in modeling business. And guess what? We have a model in the house, in the person of Divine County, aka Wavy D. He was Mr. Ideal Abuja 2020, and he's also a talent manager. Please join me as we welcome this model, Wavy D, in the studio. Wavy D, how are you doing? Should I call you Wavy D or Divine? Which one?
Really, anyone
Wavy
that's
D.
convenient for you, ma.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Oh, you really look like a model.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so how did you start?
All right.
Why
So,
modeling?
okay. Modeling is a choice of passion. It's a choice of passion, right?
Okay.
Everybody just thinks modeling is about wearing clothes, walking on the runway, but modeling is a lifestyle. It's something we do every day. I mean, everybody wears clothes out. Everybody wants to look good at the same time. But modeling has to, it has to be something you want to do professionally or for a lifetime goals. People just do it because maybe they can get money from it. But then for me, it was different. It was something I wanted to do as a lifetime thing. I wanted to take it seriously. I wanted to go into it importantly. I wanted to make sure that I was eating something from it, not just being in
Oh,
it.
okay.
It's different when you're into something because you want to just get attention, and it's another thing to be into something passionately,
Because you want to make a career out of it.
trying to make a career out of it. So, but it's something. It started in 2020. I made up my mind that I wanted to do modeling. I spoke to my mom about it. She was excited. She has been my biggest supporter, anyways. So 2020, I auditioned for Mr. Ideal Abuja, the male pageantry here in Abuja, and that was when it started. I auditioned and I won, and ever since then, it has been from here to there.
Oh, greater height to greater height.
Greater heights. Actually, you have to first of all picture yourself being out there. So after that, I decided, modeling has to go differently. So I wasn't doing runways always.
Okay.
I noticed that I have much more character when it comes to commercials. So after doing some few runways, I decided to do commercials. So I knew that yeah, commercials, that's where the money is. So for people that don't know,
Okay.
when
So
you're
you're
doing
letting the cat out of the bag now.
of course, I'm trying to give every single tip I can give out here so that people can take whatever they do seriously. Because you never can tell
Yeah.
where you're going to. But you need to first of all have an eyesight of where you want to be. Then you can actually start pursuing. So I started doing commercials. Yeah, I did a little commercials for number one hotel here in Abuja. Did for a couple of brands and all that. So ever since then, I've been shooting just for brands,
Okay.
and that's how it has been.
Now, let's look at the practical. How do you prepare for photo shoots and runway shows?
Okay, it depends on the kind of photo shoot you want to do. But for me, I'm going to tell you how I prepare. First of all, I wake up in the morning. I normally go to the gym. I work out 4 times a week, and go to the gym, heat up with the gym, make sure your body, the muscles are out there.
Okay.
Depending on the
Because
kind of
that's
shoot.
part of it too.
Yeah,
You must
actually,
keep fit.
if you're trying to give a masculine look, you need to look masculine. So we have to go to the gym, work out to get that masculine body you want. For gigs to come in, you have to do all of that to make sure people are seeing you. You have the body that portrays the clothes you want to wear.
Okay.
So I always go to work out every morning, and after that, I come back, have a little meal, and you head out to the studio. First of all, you go for fittings, trying to make sure the outfit is in check. It suits you. You look good in it and all of that. So that's just fittings. So that's how you prepare for your photo shoot, and then you start shooting.
Okay, you're also a talent manager.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you get the talent? They come to you or what?
Well, a couple of talents will write to you, but talent management for me isn't about just getting every talent or any random talent. For you as a talent manager, you have to know that you have to see the potential in this person. It's just you're just like a guide. You're helping this person achieve their dream. You're helping them build their talent. You're helping them get visibilities. That is the work of a talent manager to make sure that either an artist or any talent at all
Could be a
is being
musician
visible. It could be a
or a
musician,
model.
it could be a model, it
Okay.
could be an actor, an
Oh,
actress, a
okay.
dancer, depending on whatever talent you have. But myself, I've been managing two artists like from last year. I have,
Musicians and
yeah,
who?
musicians, they're artists,
Oh,
a
okay.
female artist and a male artist.
Okay.
So we have Mayo Six and we have Chara. So these two musicians, I can tell that it's really not easy. First of all, as a manager, you have to make sure you know these people personally, not just knowing them from a distance. You must know what sits well with them, what they're comfortable in,
Mm.
the atmosphere they're in, what gives them that drive, what excites them, what kind of drive they have.
Mm.
And it's not just being able to manage these people, you have to be seeing the light ahead of them. You know how to make sure that this person knows where he's going to, because
Okay.
you cannot be managing a talent that doesn't even know where
It doesn't
he's
have
going.
any direction.
Yeah, so you're just like a director
Mm.
trying to point out key points. This is what we have to do to make this work. This is what we have to do. So
Okay, so you're indirectly trying to bringing out the creativity or
yeah,
that talent in them.
yeah, you're
Okay,
helping them
and then
bring
make
out the
them
best in them.
channel it to the right.
Yes, to the right
Wow.
crowd, the
Mhm.
right location, the
Okay.
right people they have to meet.
Okay.
All of that.
Okay, so for you as a model, how do you keep fit? I know you've told me about exercise. What other things do you do to make sure that you're updated?
Okay, currently as a model, first of all, make social media your house.
Mm.
Not sleep there, but
Mm.
just make sure
Mm.
you're updated, because a lot of things go down on social media these days, and you have to be updated because you need to know new fashion trends, you need to
Mhm.
know what's going in the fashion world,
Okay.
you need to know what, as a model, what to eat, what not to eat.
Oh.
You have to
Okay,
take
so
care of your
food is
skin.
involved too.
For people
Okay.
who want to do commercials, you
Okay.
have to take care of your skin. You need to start paying attention to your skin, because you have brands, skin brands coming to work with you,
Mm.
fashion brands. And trust me, as a model, your looks is the first thing, facially.
No wonder you're looking the way you're
You
looking.
must wear a bright look. You must always wear a bright look. Of course, you must know how to smile if you cannot
Mm.
smile, depending
So
on
you
the kind of
must
model
you
you do.
must practice smiling
Yeah,
all the time.
all of that are part of what makes you a model.
Wow.
Being able to suit yourself in any character
Mm.
at every given time. You know, if you can be doing a runway, and on a runway, some certain kind of runways, you're not expected to smile.
Mm.
While on a commercial, you need to give a smile, you need to do
Okay.
all of that. So all that are what you need to put in check if you want to become a model and you want to sell properly. You need to know
Oh.
what you're doing first of all. You need to know your market strategy.
Oh.
It's not about just having a fine face. You need to know that you need to know what business works for you in the modeling industry.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not about just wearing fine clothes. You need to know exactly what works for you. If it's runway, if you're tall. Now they have plus size models these days. So it's not about your size actually. It's about knowing that you can do this job. If you're fat, they have plus size models. Still carry yourself. You have that confidence and know that,
Mm.
yeah, I'm doing this. I
So
want to be a model.
self-confidence is part of
It's
it.
part of it.
And then your courage.
Yeah, your courage, the way you
Oh.
talk, the way you
Okay.
relate with people, how nice you smell, all of
Oh,
that.
beautiful. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question that I know you've told me a little bit about it. How lucrative is modeling? Have you started carrying, dollars, pounds? Don't worry, nobody's going to kidnap you. So, how lucrative is this business? Briefly.
Okay. Um, the modeling business in Nigeria is not very truth. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
It's not very lucrative,
Oh,
right? Because we do not have people who wants to invest in the business of modeling. All people just want to do is just do entertainment. just watch people walk on the road. No, nobody wants to invest in models. If you go to somewhere like Paris, their government won't invest as big as Paris,
Yeah.
fashion weeks and all of that, making these models put out themselves out there, So it's really not about the government right now. It's about you as a person. What are you doing to make sure that you are earning from this as a model? You cannot just sit in your house every morning and you're only on your cameras. You are, doing that. You need to put yourself out there for you to earn. Currently I work for different brands. I not just work for one brand. I have different brands. So before the month runs out, I know that I'm getting money from here, and here. So it's not about just being fine and staying in your house. No, you have to know how to go out. You have to be a marketer
The
as a
right
model.
people to meet.
Yeah, you have to be a marketer as a model. You must know how to sell yourself.
Okay.
That's the first thing first that comes with modeling. You must know how to sell. You must know your sellout point. You must know your cash out point.
Wow, wow, I love that.
Yes.
Sell out and catch up. Okay, for someone who is watching right now that wants to go into modeling or wants to go into talent management,
Yes.
what would you say to that person briefly?
Well, I'll tell you to keep your head up, know your goals, know what you can do, and don't limit your dreams or mindset to anything you want to do.
Thank you. Keep your head up. I love that. That means, you know what he's saying to you? Chest out. Okay. Don't ever look down. So whatever talent you have, whatever talent, I think, like he said, I think you need a manager because the manager will assist you to bring out the best in you. So whatever you want to do, you want to go into modeling, you're a talent, you want to go into music, keep your head up. He has said it, and I say to you, don't worry. In the shortest while, you will blow. Thank you so much for
Thank you. I
coming.
will blow.
And please keep carrying the money. I'm praying now that the money will keep coming and coming. And like you said, the government and maybe individuals, they need to invest.
Of course.
And I'm sure some of them heard you. They will invest into modeling. Thank you so much for coming. We'll be speaking with Divine Crowley, aka Wavy D. He was the ideal, Mr. Ideal, Abuja 2020. He is a model and a talent manager. The program is still Good Morning Abuja. Let's go on this break. We'll be right back.